Hello, my name is Joseph. I work for HCPA as a health promotion educator. Today marks the first video in a series of 10 whereby I'm going to take you through some standing strength and balance exercises. Each video will be roughly 20 minutes long and aims to build upon the previous video's work so we get a natural progression in challenging exercises. During the time spent at home, it can be very natural to increase the amount of sedentary activity, things like lying down, sitting, watching the television. It is therefore imperative that we engage the body in physical activity and movement to prevent deterioration. So I invite you to please follow along with these exercises and engage with some movement with myself. Get your friends involved, get your family involved, and hopefully we can stay active during this period of uncertainty. Let's get started. Hello, first of all, welcome to my home. For today's session, for day one, we are going to stress and emphasize the importance of a correct warm-up, mobility, and stretches. This is only going to be a 20-minute session. Please follow along and go at your own pace. These are standing exercises. So to begin, I'm firstly going to teach you how to correctly get up from a seated position. Let me first find my own seated position. If we are a little bit comfortable to start off with in a chair, we're a little bit slouched, a little bit hunched over, I'm going to invite you to come to the first third of your chair. So what we want to do is wiggle the bottom so we come to the first third of the chair. From this position, the chest should be nice and open, back nice and straight, head nice and tall. From here, hands can just go on either side of the chair, feet tucked underneath us. From here, nose over toes. This is the position we want to be in the optimal position to stand up. We normally do this on a count of 1. So on 3 and 2 and 1, we're pushing through the balls of our heels up nice and tall. We then want to paddle the feet. We paddle the feet because occasionally blood can drop down to the lower limbs and it can cause us to be dizzy and get us a little bit faint on occasion. So we want to make sure we're paddling the feet, the blood is coming back up towards the brain. Excellent. I'm just going to show you again from a side view so you get the full view of what I mean. So again, if we're seated, hip walk to the first third of the chair. Heels, we want to be underneath us, underneath. Hands on either side of the chair, or if you have an armchair, a chair with arms, palms can just go at the very end, palms facing down, nose over toes, and on 3 and 2 and 1, we push up through the balls of the feet, up nice and tall, chest open, looking ahead, paddle those feet, paddle those feet. Excellent. From here, we can take as many steps as we like all the way around and come back behind our chair. Now, I will say before we continue, you can do any exercise standing, you can do them seated as well. So if you would be more comfortable in a seated position following along, please feel free. So we're going to engage in our warm-up now once we're in our standing position. The warm-up is generally to get us prepared for the more challenging exercises in the class, in the session. What we're going to do is we're going to start with some leg marches. So I'm just going to turn this to the sides just so you can get a great view. You do have your base of support here. You can either have 2 hands, 1 hand, or if you're really confident, no hands. I like to have 2 hands personally. If you have a look at my feet, we're just getting a little march on, okay? We're just getting those knees up. We're going toe to heel, toe to heel. We're not slamming the feet on the floor. It's just nice and gentle. We're engaging those big muscles in the top of the leg and the calf also. The warm-up, like I said, is just to prep us for those more challenging movements throughout the exercise. So it's very important that we do a thorough warm-up, warm those muscles up, get those joints moving, and generally reduce the amount of stiffness between the joints, things like the hips, knees, ankles as well. From here, we can stop with the legs and we can move into those arms. So we can start to reach, alternatively forward. Again, we're working those muscles in the shoulders, arms and forearms as well. You can even wiggle your fingers at the end, making sure that blood is going all the way around from the lower body, pushing that blood all the way up to the top, maintaining good straight posture as well, nice open chest, head is looking forward, nice and tall, really good. And if you really want to go for an extra challenge, we can put them all together. I'm going to do one hand on my support option here, but we can engage the legs and the arms simultaneously now, making sure that blood is being flushed round to every area within the body. Remember to breathe evenly throughout. We're just warming up, making sure those joints are nice and supple, and we're not going to hurt ourselves in the more challenging exercises. Excellent. So the warm-up is roughly 3 to 5 minutes, I would say. If you do need to spend a little bit more time working on more challenging areas, we all have a hip, we all have a knee, we all have a back issue. So do spend time in those areas, making sure that we're giving those muscles time to appropriately warm up and those joints to loosen up before we go into the more challenging exercises. What we're going to do now is we're going to move into the mobility compartment of our exercise. Mobility is just a fancy way of saying the freedom of movements you have available at each joint. In this way, it's quite linked to flexibility. What we're going to do is we're going to work from the ground up, and we're going to explore that range of motion, range of movement between those joints. Beginning at the ankle, if you have a look at my ankles now, make sure they're in shot. Having a look at my ankle, we're going to place one heel on the floor. We're going to hit that same spot where the heel is with the toe. We're going heel, we're going toe, heel and toe. And if you have a look at my feet, you can see I'm trying to hit that exact same spot. That knee is trying to stay as still as possible, and it's only the ankle joint that is moving between that full range of motion. You usually want to do this exercise for about 4 to 5 repetitions. Again, be very intuitive regarding your own personal limitations. Again, if you do have somewhere that's a little bit stiff naturally than others, you may want to take a little bit more time and consideration to making sure that joint is fully mobilized. Once we're done, we're going to switch over to the other side, the other ankle again, so you get a different view. Heel, toe, heel and toe. You're really pointing that toe, exploring the full range of motion in that ankle. Really good. We'll do that once more, and toe, and relax. The purpose behind this exercise is, again, like I emphasized, to increase the range of motion between in your ankle joint. This is very important when we consider things like walking, otherwise known as our gait pattern, the way we walk. But as you can see, the ability for my toe to get up nice and high and then point when I'm moving to my next step, the general ability for you to be able to clear the ground easier is worked in the fundamental aspects of the range of movement in your ankle. If you have greater ankle mobility, you're less likely to catch your toes on pesky carpets and wires and things of this nature. We're going to move on to another mobility exercise now. We're going to go onto some shoulder rolls. This is to create some movement in the shoulder girdle. Hands can just rest on the side here. We're shrugging up to the earlobes and down. We're shrugging up and down. The cue, as you may have heard, I like to use is try and imagine touching your earlobes. Can you touch your earlobes and down? Coming up and down and up and down, and relax. If you want a more challenging variation of that exercise, what we can do is add a little roll in there as well. So we can squeeze the shoulder blades up, come round and back together and down. coming up towards the earlobes, coming back, pinching those shoulder blades, and down. You can see this is opening up my chest cavity, the anterior compartment, the shoulders, the chest, all these tight muscles here, shrugging up and coming round. Shrugging up and round. Last one, shrugging up and coming round. Excellent stuff. Again, like I mentioned there, the opening up of this compartment is really, really beneficial. Even things like breathing. We live in a culture now where everybody's on their phones or writing. We're all hunched over. So we need to work on opening up those airways. Very good for posture. You can see nice straight back, nice tall head, open chest. Really good to balance in this position as well. When our center of gravity is no longer forward, taking us forward in this manner, where we're up nice and tall, chest open. I know where I'm going. I know how to articulate myself through this space. So really good exercise for opening up those airways. We also take for granted very small movements, brushing the teeth, washing the hair, putting on coats, putting on jackets, things of that nature. You need this movement here in your shoulders to be able to facilitate those important everyday activities, those everyday actions. What we're going to do now is we're going to conclude with some stretches. Stretching I would normally take from a seated position. So if you are standing, take as many steps as you need, come round the front of your chair. In order to sit down correctly, we need to make sure we're shuffling backwards until the back of the chair hits the back of our knees. Bum goes out, so the bum goes back first, and hands come to meet the chair, and we gently come to a seated position. I'm going to show you from a profile view the first stretch, which is a back of leg hamstring stretch. So again, making sure to the back, bum backwards, nice and safe. Shuffle to the first third of your chair again. Leg of your choice, nice and long. One bent knee, hands can just rest on that bent knee. The chest is gently coming forward over that bent knee. Try and keep your vision on the horizon, and you're going to feel a stretch going down the back of that thigh. Once you're in this position, we want to hold it there. You're gonna notice this tension in the back of the long leg. We want to hold that there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming back to center, nice and tall again. Opposite leg, nice and long. Again, I want to make sure you're seeing this from all angles. So again, opposite leg, nice and long, one bent knee. Again, we want to be on the first third of the chair. Hands on the bent knee. Chest is very gently coming over that knee. You're going to search for that feeling of tension in that long leg. And once you've found it, hold that position for roughly 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And coming back up. Really good. You would have felt that tension in the back of the thighs there. The hamstrings can get very, very tight and tonic when we've been sitting down for long periods of time. You'll even notice on occasion, if we practice our sit to stand again, heels in, hands on either side, nose over toes, and on 3 and 2 and 1 we push up. The muscles on the back of the leg can be quite restrictive. When we're standing, we can really feel some of that tension holding us back from that optimal posture position, open chest, tall head. So it's very important to be wary of how tight these muscles can get. And if we're sitting watching television, for example, it would be very beneficial to take some time to stretch either leg before we stand up to that full position. I'm just going to finish off with one final stretch. We're going to do a chest stretch. I'm going to make sure we're in a good position to see this as well. Again, we're going to do this from a seated position. First third of the chair, always nice tall back, open chest. What we can do, if you can, taking your hands, if you can reach back behind your chair, grab your chair, and even sitting in a tall position like this, you're going to notice tension across this anterior compartment, the chest, the shoulders. You're going to feel them stretched even from here. If you can't feel that, you can even put a slight lean forward, and that's going to exaggerate that stretch. Again, we're focusing on opening up those airways, opening up the front portion of the torso here. Again, nice and tall. We want to hang out in this area for roughly 10 seconds. If you're unable to reach behind the chair, I will invite you to grab underneath the chair, sit up nice and tall. If that in itself is quite difficult, what we can do, look at me again from a profile position, is if we're trying to achieve an opening of this area here, we can even sit with I don't like the word good posture, but put ourselves in the tallest position we can. Imagine a string going from the top of your head, pulling you up towards the ceiling, tucking your shoulder blades into your back pocket, and we can just hang out in this area with really tall posture for about 10 seconds, and you will notice the tension around your chest, around your shoulders. You'll notice that stretch. But if you can, do grab and exaggerate that stretch, holding that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax there. Excellent. So that's going to conclude today's session. I'm just going to recap. So we did a warm-up. It's important to recognize that we're making sure our muscles are warm, our joints are prepped before any major movements. We went through our sit to stand. It's very important to be in an optimal position to stand, putting ourselves in the best place so we can get up from our chair with little or as less effort needed. And we also did some stretches, making sure that our muscles are, we're taking advantage of the warmness in our muscles when we have gone through exercise, and ensuring that we're preventing injury and making sure we're exercising our flexibility and mobility through those movements. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a very simple session, but next session we're going to build upon those skills, and we're going to introduce some endurance, which is exercises for the heart and for the lungs as well. So I hope you enjoyed, I hope you found value in this video, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.